Hi all, how are we doing? If you are joining me in this live, say hello, drop in, tell me where you are joining me from, and let's get into it. I wanted to talk about ESG and why ESG is going to create so much value in your business and why it is super important because this is not about, fear tactics. Yes, climate change is here and yes, we are facing it. And if you're not thinking about ESG, it will certainly impact your business and its resilience through this really transient phase. Oh, well, transient is probably not even the right word. It's really dynamic and disruptive. So, how can ESG actually change your business? Well, there are actually a lot of ways, but I'm just going to talk about a few to start with. And so they're all going to have varying impacts on your business growth and the value that it creates. But first thing that I'm going to talk about is that top level growth and access that you get. So when you have a strong ESG framework, it really helps companies tap into new markets, helps them expand into spaces where they've never really had access to before because the authorities in that space, the corporate equivalents or their competitors regard them in a high way because they can see that they are also in alignment with these global levels of ESG thinking because it really is a global movement and the most competitive businesses are already doing this. So if you want to be recognized by your peers and then get access into these sort of top line growths and markets, then this is how you do it. The second thing is there is direct cost reductions because you're making your systems more efficient, more integrated, more optimized. And so therefore there is a huge amount of growth. I'm going to turn off my notifications so that the noise doesn't come through. And so there's certainly a huge amount of cost reduction that you will see directly through resources, and that means actual raw materials and products, but also people and time that is being spent on, say, maintaining systems or improving systems. But when you've got better ESG principles in place with proper reporting structures, you actually avoid most of that reactive approach, that reactive maintenance that you take towards improving or fixing problems. The third thing is that there's a reduced scrutiny from compliance-related issues, so both legal, financial, political or policy-based. So when you're actually properly reporting on your ESG and your framework is sturdy and robust, then the banks, the lawyers, the policy and procedures or mandates that are in place from your governments impact you less, and they're going to scrutinize the work that you're doing less because there is a level of transparency and trust, but it has to be done properly and there has to be a very clear KPI and metrics reporting framework really about who's accountable and how it's being driven forward. So it's always really down to who is leading it, who is managing it, who is implementing it. The fourth thing is there is a direct alignment with community and employees. So people actually align more from a value-based perspective with what you're doing as a business. So they stay longer in your business or they support you longer as a customer or a client. And so there really is a direct connection to the people because the people's choice is the only one you need to be thinking about right now. It is a people-led economy. And so consumer choice is the biggest thing, and of course your employees, if you've got employees that are aligned and connected with what you're doing as a business, then they're more likely to retain, to elevate, climb up the corporate ladder or the ladder within your business, the organizational structure, and stay there longer and actually support you as a business for longer. And finally, when your ESG framework is strong and it's robust, then you've also got a strong proposition to enhance investment opportunities. And that's because you've got a optimized asset operation. And so investments and further allocating capital for more and more sustainable implementation and expansion is much easier because you've got a strategic roadmap through the process of implementing your ESG framework. So yes, there's a lot of benefits to it. And of course, businesses need to start taking action on it. And this is not sort of, lighthearted actions where they make statements that they're committed to ESG and it's an important part of their business. Saying you're committed and then taking the action is two very different things. So how do we start taking action? You start talking to people around you. You start actually figuring out who is the next person that you need to bring in, who are the next businesses that you need to bring in to take this to another level. Because at this point, if we're all just going to keep talking about it, then the action is not going to actually follow through. And a lot of the times I think people get concerned about greenwashing, and it is a very valid and real concern. And so a proper aligned ESG structure really needs to come into play, because so far in my experience, I'm hearing and seeing from people that their businesses say one thing, or the organizations they work for or work with are saying one thing, but they're not seeing that action in the field. And so ESG, proper ESG, gives you the opportunity to take those words into action and benefit from it as well. Because if anything, a proper, sustainably operated, optimized, and integrated business, all of the words, is going to benefit in a huge way economically. And there's so much more than the points I've just made, but that's to start with, to get you thinking, get your juices flowing. So I'm just going to post a link to my calendar. I want to talk to you. If your business is doing this, looking at doing this, interested in talking about it, let's chat. And hope you have an incredible day. Take care all, and talk to you soon. Bye.